Hey everyone, welcome to Zero HP. This is the Experience Point. We're going to be reviewing and just talking about a couple of different games today before the end of the year in preparation for our big Game of the Year show coming in January. And we're just going to eat some nachos first. So
yeah, I'm more worried about these nachos than anything else. Yeah, I was like, Game of the Year is right here on this plate.
Nacho of the year.
I already ate mine.
I love how you have to make sure everyone knows. I ate my nachos already. So
yeah, he didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Like, we were set up the camera. He's like, oh, I'm already ate them all. Anyways, we'll see you guys here in a little bit. Welcome all. This is Zero HP's kind of review discussion, impression discussion, I guess, of Fallout 4. We're not going to be giving a score because I work for a living and I've only managed to play like 20 to 25 hours.
Why can't you guys support us? Come on, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, give me all the money.
Yeah.
That I can pay my rent.
Patreon, come and see.
Oh man. But yeah, so we've played enough to like really get a good feel for it. So if you haven't played it yet, or if you're just kind of curious like what other people think about it, and you want to join us, of course, in the comments below. Go at it, whether that's on Facebook or YouTube,
Twitter,
all
that shit. We're in our Twitter game now.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy.
If you're talking to Zero HP on Twitter, it's him. Just let you know. He does.
I might stalk it, so I'm just saying.
Okay, that's good. So obviously, Fallout 4 probably kind of like the most anticipated game of the year. Like, not necessarily the best game of the year. I'm not going to give away that, but I think like everyone, like that's been the game.
It's very. I like the way that they kind of approached it. They
love it.
They were like, like Fallout's coming out in like a couple months. We're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's honestly been the best part of it. Is like, I think more game companies should do that, where they announce it and put it out in the same year.
Yeah, like I don't like it's like 3 years ahead. 3 years from now, there's gonna be another game like.
Here's a CG teaser that has nothing to do with what the game will be.
What is it called? A teaser trailer? It's like a
teaser trailer.
It's like a small it's a trailer for a trailer or something.
Yeah, it just and then it goes away and like people just don't care about it as much. And instead, you just get into this like fever pitch.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, it's around the corner.
Bethesda is probably like tied for me for my favorite developers, just because they're so smart and between marketing and actual like developing and all of it. Like, I think it helps that you have a development team, Bethesda Game Studios, and you also have your own in-house publishing company, Bethesda Game Studios. Like that's really, I think that helps them a lot. Like,
oh, absolutely. They're not under any pressures or any deadlines.
Yeah, they take 6 years or whatever.
They're doing their own stuff. They know exactly when things need to come out, when things need to be the same can be said for Blizzard. Blizzard does the same thing too, and I so much appreciate the things that they do for that. I don't like these games where they're like hyped up so far ahead, like. Those the Rainbow Six game coming out. I'm like, it's already been delayed. If you guys haven't heard already, it's like they always have like these deadlines that they have to make, and they just fall short all the time.
Like work camps, there's like crunch.
Like freaking Destiny. I mean, not to bring that up again, like, to beat a dead horse, but like Destiny was hyped for so long.
We're like necromancy on the horse.
We've
beaten the horse and given it life again to kill it again.
We give Destiny so much shit.
I know. And I'm actually playing it again with Tim, and I'm really enjoying it because I know what it is now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, Destiny's kind of that like big game that just the utter failure of hype. That's why we bring it up, I think, because this last few years has been like this hype machine, this big marketing machine that has for games. And it's just hasn't been going well. So it's nice to just see how the difference.
Yeah, the difference is
for how it released.
And there's a couple studios like CD Red Project did the whole like awesome. Hey, you bought our game day one, you're gonna get all these DLCs.
Tons of free DLCs.
And like the developers that know, the studios that know what their fans want. They know, they're like, you know what, we hear you guys.
They respect you as a player.
Yeah, they respect you as a consumer. Yeah, exactly. So it's not just like you're a dollar scientist on developers and stuff like that. So I definitely really appreciate that. In this industry nowadays where it's so cutthroat and like money, these people, these studios take time to say, we're gonna do it right. You know, we're gonna make it the right approach to it. You know.
You'd think the industry would catch on if you notice there's a trend. Bethesda, we're talking about. We brought up Bethesda and CD Projekt Red as good developers who do it right, and both of those games are being nominated by every different, by everyone for Game of the Year and Game of this, and they're doing it right. So it's like I wish more games would take cue from them.
Yeah, I think
I hope so. Yeah.
Just like we were talking about on me and Kevin's Gaming News and Chill thing. We were talking about, I think the best thing about Bethesda and the games that they release is they give the most bang for your buck.
Big time.
$60 and you get this incredibly large game full of side quests, great characters, great story.
Content too.
Yeah, and it's for $60 you can't beat that. Whereas some game companies are going to not give you the full game, purposefully leave out a big chunk of it, and then just release it as DLC later or what have you. Yeah. And I think for Bethesda, that's definitely why they're probably in my top 5 favorite game companies or developers that are out there, because they just make great games for the $60 price tag, and a lot of people don't look at games. A lot of people look at games as an investment now. $60 is a lot of money.
It is.
And you're not really buying. I don't think I know anybody who buys games 3 or 4 at a time. It's usually 1 or 2.
Maybe 2. Yeah. Maximum.
So I definitely think for the greatest value you can get out there, Bethesda games are always the best for it.
I think so too. There's so much content, especially in this Fallout 4. They added some really cool elements to it. There's this whole meta game now where you're building a base. I know there's people out there that do not like the base building at all.
You don't have to do it at all.
You don't have to do it, but I found a lot of enjoyment and a lot of time investment put into it, because as soon as I put the first wall for Sanctuary, the Sanctuary is the first place you're at, so no spoiler there. But this first place I'm gonna put in my first wall. I'm like, you know what? I want to put my walls all over my place. So I put a whole bunch of walls everywhere, and it's built on top of it, and then it's like, you know what? I want to build a treehouse, and then blah 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 blah. So there's so much stuff you can do, and you're just lost in this game for hours. I've already put 50 hours into it myself, and I probably haven't really done half of the way for the main story. There's so much stuff to do, you know,
there really is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'm the only one here that's completed the main story. Am I right to say?
I think I'm a little bit more than halfway.
Okay. So I probably put just about 50 hours as well into it, and I finished the main story actually last night, just because I have so many games I want to play before this year ends, so we can get to our Game of the Year show. I was just I'm gonna knock out the main story just to get some closure on it.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a smart. I agree completely with that. That's why I'm not scoring it, because I haven't finished the story, and that's an integral part. And so far, the story has been better than I think any other Bethesda story. Usually they're kind of lackluster, and this story is just kind of a tour of our world, and the world is the star. The world's still the star, but this time I find that the narrative is much more convincing and realistic.
I think another thing on that is the supporting cast is way better.
There's real characters in this game.
Yeah, there's characters that each of them have backstories.
Right.
And you can talk to them, have dialogue with them, and even have relationships.
It's a bit of a Mass Effect entry.
Exactly. And that Mass Effect, if you guys don't know, is one of my favorite series of all time, and because of the supporting cast.
Yeah, incredible
characters. And so this one, Fallout 4, has definitely made that approach to the next echelon of let's make some 3-dimensional characters that have some personalities and stuff to them. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are characters I remember characters' names. If you ask me for Skyrim or Fallout 3 to come up with some of your NPC buddies' names, I don't know. I remember
Lydia.
I remember Mankar Camp. Lydia. Yes.
Lydia. That's all.
And I had an Argonian buddy. I can't remember his name. He was awesome, but I don't remember his name.
Sugarfoot.
Whatever.
What?
You know how they have those weird names?
They do.
I'm naming my next guy Sugarfoot on whatever game I play next.
Oh man, yeah.
But, there's a lot.
That is a big improvement.
Yeah, definitely.
You beat the story. Obviously, we're not doing spoilers, but you've played Skyrim's story. And I know you didn't play a lot of Fallout 3, but you played enough Bethesda games to know their stories are okay.
Yeah.
They're kind of uninspired. So, like, how did you feel that this narrative compared to their Bethesda's previous games?
I definitely like you were talking about earlier. I think it's definitely a lot more interesting story, a lot more captivating story. For those of you who don't know it, basically in the game, and I won't spoil anything, obviously. But
Spoil the beginning stuff.
This is kind of like rudimentary. Like this is the way the story is laid out. But you play as your character that goes into the vault, and basically
pre-war.
Pre-war.
Which is the first time, which
is really cool. I thought.
Yeah, it was cool to see the weird like retro future that they had set up.
And you know what? Unlike a game that we've also did a video on today with Halo 5, they give you a nice, brief, little contextual story prologue, telling players new to Fallout, catch them up real quick on the alternate history, how it breaks off after World War II. Oh, it's an alternate history, and they just catch you up in like 4 minutes in a really captivating.
Actually, it was a very good intro.
I was like, wow, this is such the sort of.
That's like a live action intro.
A little. I felt it was a really good intro, but I felt at the same time too, it was also kind of like, oh, everything seems so nice. Like your wife is sitting there and she's like, oh, how's my 2 favorite men doing?
Yeah.
And
you think it's campy on purpose though.
Yeah, it could be that, but then it's like literally like immediately after the salesman comes, shit just hits the fan.
Yeah.
Like everybody's dead. Like
everybody's dead. Everyone's dead.
Just new kids. Yeah, it's like comes out.
Just
of
get
nowhere.
straight into the vault. Like I do agree. It
just like like that intro video though. Like the part where they do the war never changes. Like, that's just a great.
Awesome.
It just sets you up if you haven't played Fallout. Like, oh, okay, I get it.
How cool did that shot look too? In that where like the scientist has the Pip Boy.
Yeah, I know.
It's like live action. That was cool.
That was really cool. It was just really good, and I love that kind of universe building, contextual stuff. It's really really important. It was brief, It was great. Good setup. So.
And also to go back to what you were saying too, because I felt I just had to bring this to the table because I felt I had like kind of a special insight on Fallout because I actually wasn't really a big fan of Fallout 3. I didn't play it or beat it. I played it, but I never beat it or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was mostly because I really couldn't slog through it. It was
dense.
There was something about it that just didn't grab me when I played it, and I know I have some other people out there who think the same way. But
I'm sort of there with you. I mean, I enjoyed my time with it, but I didn't spend nearly the time with Fallout 3 that I did with the Elder Scrolls games.
Oh yeah, I've always been, whenever it comes to Fallout or Elder Scrolls, I'm definitely more of the Elder Scrolls guy. I liked Oblivion, I liked Skyrim, and then Fallout has kind of always been the shaky one for me. But even before Fallout 4 came out, I was like, I'm going to play Fallout 4, because I know in true Bethesda style, they're going to do it up big, and they're going to do it better than their previous one.
They always do it better. They really work at it. Because they're not rushed. We brought that up. They get the time, and they get the money, and they get the people they need. And they're like, I don't care. Keep delaying it. Like, whatever. Just work on it. Like, they've proven themselves, like, as long as you give them the time.
They have a good track record,
and, they're masters. Yeah. Other than, like, technical stuff. Which we'll get into that later.
Character models.
Well, that's just, and in fact, we can touch on that really quickly, because as much improvement as there has been, I personally feel that I don't want another game from them unless they create a new engine.
Yeah, I know, right?
This thing is like, I remember playing Call of Duty, I think it was Black Ops, the original Black Ops.
Yeah, the first Black Ops.
And I remember feeling like, okay, I know this is like 2000, what was that, like 9 or 10 when that came out?
10, I think it was, yeah.
And I could just feel like this is a 2004 engine.
Yeah.
You could just, it's graphics are better, but you could tell this is old. It's too, I feel like, do you guys feel like that? Like the Fallout engine.
Textures, the character models.
The character models are just terrible. You can, and the menu interface.
Oh, the interface was awful.
It's just dated, and it just feels, you can just tell, like, other games are now surpassing them in that, like, arena. Yeah. So I hope the next game, they need to build a new engine before they release a new.
Those death claws are pretty cool, though.
Well, yeah, they do. Well, one thing I was going to say, too, is I think the reason why the interface and the graphics and everything, their whole reasoning behind going into the same engine or using that same engine was because they've literally been working on Fallout 4 since Skyrim.
Agreed. Yeah.
So it basically you're getting whatever the
Skyrim's
remnants.
Engine,
whatever
I just
the
hope
remnants
this is the last one.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I mean, because they actually, this is kind of cool. I've read an article in Game Informer, and it's all about the creation of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And the first thing they did to try and understand how to build a game for the new gen, because this is like 2011, and they're building it, is they ported Skyrim to Xbox One.
Yeah, sorry about that.
They did a backwards compatibility. And, like, of course, everyone freaked out. Like, are we going to get Skyrim on Xbox One? And Todd Howard had to be like, hold on, no.
Yeah,
Like, this is a technical thing.
It was a test.
To see how it worked.
Yeah.
But he said not yet, by the
Yeah.
way. So,
Yeah.
not that it matters. I got it on PC now, so.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, so that's definitely the case. But I'm not going to hold it too much against them because they've been building it. And the fact, and even though, you know, it's not the best looking game, so I've been playing Battlefront. So that I'll go from Battlefront to Fallout. It's like, whoa. But it's still, at times, a very pretty game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's parts and times where textures don't load all the time.
Yeah.
And, it gets the frame rate's another thing too. That's just more of a issue.
God, yeah.
I've had like a weird. I don't even know if it's really like to do with frame rates even, but like I'll have like the thing where I'm in the wasteland and I'll be in third person mode.
Yeah.
And when I'm swinging the camera around, it kind of looks like you could see the individual pixels like in the graphics, and then it'll go back to being
like
normal.
pop in kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it looks kind of bad, but I mean you get used to it after a while, and you can kind of your eyes adjust to it. So you know you see it at first and it kind of annoys you, but I quickly kind of got used to it and it didn't really.
Yeah.
What platforms are you playing on? Because there's a big difference.
PC.
PC.
Xbox One.
Same.
Yeah.
And when I've been reading a lot of articles before I got to play it, like a couple days before its release, saying how like the PS4 and Xbox One, like the consoles are like they're ruined by a terrible frame rate. I've had a few instances, that's for sure, especially at nighttime with any fires. Avoid fires at nighttime on Xbox, but I also feel like all of those reports were way over.
Oh, maybe
I have not
had.
that's the one I've had like 2 instances of bad frame rate, both with flames at night. I don't know what's with that.
The only time I had frame rate issues was when you go into like those heavily infested ghoul areas where
there's like 18 of them.
Yeah, like a couple dozen come at you.
Gank you.
And they're all like just they're all leaping. That's the only time I have frame rate issues. Other than that, load screens are fast, textures load pretty quick.
Load screens were terrible.
So fucking long
on Xbox
consoles.
Wow,
it's ridiculous. I mean, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we already talked about it kind of on our gaming news and chill session thing, but the longest I've had to wait for a load time was like literally a minute. And I know that sounds like maybe not that long, but in game like
in this
when you're sitting there
playing a game, a minute is an eternity. It might as well be an eternity.
That goes back to the engine. Even for PC, there's like, you go into a building, it loads. You go outside of a building, it loads. You go into a cave, it loads. There's still like, they're really behind with that, I feel like.
I agree with that as well. I didn't have, my longest load screens were maybe, at the longest was like 30 seconds. So like, I guess that's the difference there. But other than that, I didn't really have any technical issues. Nothing that, you know, there were a couple times.
I've had a lot of technical issues.
Yeah, like glitches and stuff like that. I haven't had like technically anything like break my game.
For me on Xbox One, 2 hard crashes so far.
Oh really? Wow, I've never had that happen. Oh,
hard crashes reset like your whole.
Yeah,
system.
like I have to turn off my Xbox, turn it back on, or I have to go onto the dashboard.
Hold it down.
Yeah, no, I'll have to go onto the dashboard, quit the game, and then restart it again twice so far.
Wow.
So those were really bad.
That's terrible.
Yeah, usually when I'm coming out of a dungeon or whatever, I'm coming out, and the loading screen comes on, and then it comes out into the world. Then it goes to like a freeze, and then hard crashes. So I've had that happen twice so far on Xbox One.
I know that like Bethesda gets a lot of like, not slack. I'm thinking the opposite word. They like people give them like it's okay.
Give room, yeah.
I think we've reached the point where like it's almost like an endearing thing. Like like you know in Skyrim when the giant hits you and you pop up like 1,000 feet in the air.
I love that.
Like, it's kind of these endearing things, but I have now reached the point where I'm like, okay, you have released every major retail release you've had has been chock full of just bullshit.
Actually, I have read an article about this, so I'll let you finish your point.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
I understand it's huge, and it's one of those things where you pull on a string over here, and it pulls on something over here, and it's like all interconnected, and I don't know anything about developing games.
Yeah.
So like, I understand that it's hard, and I'm okay with the occasional thing. But I mean, I'm playing this, and like, it'll load, and everyone falls from the sky, and like, there's people walking like sideways and shit, and like my friendly AI guys get stuck into walls, and they're running into shit, and
the companion AI is.
Every time I kill someone, if they fall next to anything, their arm gets stuck and it goes, and it's like God, like it's just constantly taking me out of the world.
Yeah.
Like I'm like engrossed in this beautiful world they create,
Yeah.
and then all this ridiculous, the trash cans get attached to his leg, and like gravity just says "fuck it all." And,
it's like two physics things like happening.
Right, it's constant, and it's like it's one of the things. It's every now and then okay, but it's like almost every kind of quote unquote dungeon I go into, just shit happens like that, and it's like, come on, guys, like can we clean this up a little bit?
Yeah, so the article I read was it was from Game Rock, and what they're saying they did an interview with Todd Howard, and he said that the reason why it happens is because it's the game itself, the way it's portrayed. It's a free will game. You do whatever you want, so it's not going to be perfect because everything that you do has a consequential action that does something else, and that does
like
something
the
else.
thing I was saying.
Yeah, exactly. So with that said, it's a product of almost its format of the game rather than because like if you think about it. If you play, say, like a Call of Duty story, this stuff like that's not going to happen.
No.
You're just playing one
that's a very linear experience with polish.
It's
I get that.
Yeah. So that's what they're here saying. He's like, whenever there's going to be like a open world game like that, no matter whatever open world game it is, there's going to be stuff like that because the engine is always trying to have consistency in its world. It's always trying to keep consistency, but when you do something,
so it's going to be consistently bad.
Yeah, well, if you know, but the thing is, like, if you can do something like you're an opposing force where the engine's trying to do one thing and you're trying to do another, and just like interrupt it, then it's like has to readjust itself, and so that's the whole thing. Yeah, it has to be fluid, and it has to be like consistent. Whereas you're like interrupting, it's like. What it's trying to do.
I completely understand that.
So that's just. I think it's a product of. I'm not gonna make an excuse, but it's a product of the game type.
Like what you're actually.
Yeah,
doing.
what you're playing. So like.
They can always fix it though. Like if you go back and play Skyrim now, like that stuff hardly ever happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So we know that they can fix it, but they need to see what all the players are doing to the world and understand the problem.
Exactly. It's just like the amount of people. I can guarantee you right now that none of us have the same experience with
at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, everyone has different problems.
They have to like say, oh my god, there's like millions of different people.
I think the biggest one is the biggest one that I think is furthest across the board for most players is frame rate problems.
Oh yeah.
That should have been fixed before release. I feel like. But other than that, I think some of it is forgivable.
Yeah,
for sure.
some of it is forgivable.
Because what you get in return is this world.
Yeah, I mean, initially when I uploaded the game, I was able to preload it on Steam, so I got it at midnight. I initially started playing it. And you get to like the outer rim of like Diamond City, where, and then there's like all ghouls everywhere and everything. So I did have some frame rate issues there. However, I talked to Jimmy the day after, and I asked him about it. He's like, "Well, you need to upgrade your graphic driver because there is a specific upgrade or update for Fallout 4." And I was like, "Oh, really?" So I went home. I downloaded the update, and since then I had no issues.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's great. So
release a patch for us consoles.
Yeah, so it was my graphics card is a GTX, so it was like GTX has one of the best like update kind of schedules.
I love it. I have got the GTX 970 on mine, and it always has updates for me.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
I think that's partially what. But yeah, I mean. Overall, I think the game is great still.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's like, to hit on Taylor Sporting Enemy, my best bang for your buck of this year so far for me.
Gotta play Witcher, man.
Yeah, I gotta play Witcher.
Witcher 2's up there, Bloodborne as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I played Bloodborne.
Witcher, I would say is more compatible as far as like comparing them.
Yeah.
Because like they're both huge open world, and I think my favorite thing about both of those games is. The characters and stories are good, but like the worlds are, they will hold up against intense scrutiny. They have history, lore, culture, their own. You know what I mean? Like they're just completely made up, and like no matter how far you set the magnifying glass to it, there's no holes.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? Like Elder Scrolls is like that, and Fallout's like that, and Witcher's like that too. Where it's just you get to a certain point where you kind of understand the world, and it's like. It's just this incredible immersion, and I think that only a few games can really do that, and that those two have done such a great job at that.
Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it. There's a lot of like different locales. My biggest gripe was actually when you were playing in Fallout 3, everything looked the same.
Just gray.
Yeah, everything was great.
Green,
They definitely
brown.
switched it up. They definitely heard their fans. They're like, they're switching it up. There's patches of like foresty areas, and there's gonna be patches like the
dense cities.
Yeah, dense city. There the urban cities, and then there was the Jade Sea. Is it called
the glowing
the
sea?
glowing sea
Is where the bomb, like physically, where the hydrogen bomb hits.
Creepy.
That shit is so scary. There's death claws everywhere.
Death claws, and there's like it's just flat.
And
like
it's
desert
just
land.
like this weird, when the storms come, the
Oh,
radiation storms
yeah.
and everything, because like the game can be beautiful, like looking out, like it's almost like, was everything destroyed? Like it was, every now and then it's really pretty and there's like bodies of water and like wow, and then they want to make sure and remind you how awful the world is, and they bring in those radiation storms, everything gets all green and there's like this weird lightning, it's all green lightning and you're like getting irradiated.
Yeah, and then there's like the really cool parts where you're walking at night and then it'll just get mist out of nowhere. You'll get this heavy fog, heavy mist, and you're like, am I playing like Silent Hill now or something? Like, oh shit.
When that first happened to me, I was like, oh my god, there's something coming.
Yeah,
what is going on? So I was just pressing the bats button everywhere. I was like, where is he? Where are you, man? Where are you?
And then I'll get freaked out because it's like dog meat. I'm like, what are you doing up there?
Yeah, I was like, dude, that scared me. Dog meat barks out of nowhere, man.
He barks at
like it's like really quiet and you're just like walking around and like, I'm like, what the?
What is it, boy?
Yeah, what is it? Where is he?
Sick 'em.
Yeah, I love that when he the friendly AI, for all the problems it has, is also like as bad as it can be, is also that much more helpful than they used to
Oh,
be.
God,
Like, they were kind of useless in the game before, like
Oh my
in combat.
God, yeah.
They're great. Like the dog goes and like grabs
him,
his
him
arm,
down.
and you just vats and like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
shoot him. And,
I've experienced that as well. They're like one of the companions uses like laser rifle, and it's so badass. Yeah, he's so strong. Like you feel like you're not. Yeah, exactly. There's like another character that uses melee weapons, and you see them going up there and just like wailing the shit out of everybody.
Or even if they're not good in combat, like Valentine unlocks all the computers for you. And, or like lock picking, or all these different things, and like they all help you in different ways.
I enjoyed them a lot more. I think the character development was very superior, very solid.
Who's your favorite
companion?
Obviously, you have more companions than I do where we are, but I think we all have at least 4 or 5 companions.
Yeah, depends on like the utilization. Like, what do I need him for? If I just go straight combat, Dance is like the best combat companion.
Is really powerful.
Yeah, he is super powerful. But if I just want like a good kind of like all around person, Kate's usually my go-to companion around. Okay. So, what about you guys?
I love dog meat just because he's a dog. Like, I'm just such a dog person. Like, I know he's not the most helpful. Yeah. But he's just great to have a dog running around with you. Like, it just gets a bond. Like,
I kind of miss in Fallout 3 that you could have like an animal companion and a humanoid companion.
Yeah, I wish you could have both too. That makes sense to me. But I like Valentine a lot as a character, and Deacon. If you do the railroad, he's just so sarcastic and like he's got these great lines. Like just today, I was playing and he had him with me. He's like, "Man, before I met you, I went days without slaughtering someone." I just started laughing. Like
that sounds like an HK-47.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a great character, man. So
he does remind me a lot of HK.
Yeah.
I was like, that sound familiar.
So,
how about yours, Taylor?
I gotta go probably, not too different from you guys. I really like Dance a lot. In my particular playthrough, I'm going like through the Brotherhood story, and those are the guys I've aligned myself with.
Okay.
So Dance is big for me.
Sure.
I also like Valentine too.
Yeah.
Pretty much I used him from the beginning of my playthrough, and then went through it. Picked up Dance, and then from there had Dance all the way through. Mm-hmm. But Valentine's really cool. I like his personality, how he has kind of like that, like he means well, and he's like a well-to-do guy.
Yeah,
just
he does.
Very straightforward, straight arrow. Military minded. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just a really cool character, and kind of reminds me of like Rorschach, sort of. From,
it does. Very it's very black and white. He's like it's either you're good or you're bad.
Mm-hmm.
With Dance.
With us or against us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I like that about him. He's very simple.
I just like when you talk about characters like this in Fallout.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like. Just to throw it out again there, like the companions are 3-dimensional characters. They're very well made. You can go and do their quests and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then the funny thing is, like, they like you depending on what you do. Like, some characters like when you lockpick something, and then another companion would hate it when you lockpick something. So you just kind of have to find like that perfect companion for your play style.
Sure.
So if you want to go around murdering people, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, because they'll tell you like...
Yeah, Dance will be like, that's not a good idea, murdering.
And every now and then they'll stop you, like you'll go into a building, and be like, hey, hold on, I need to talk to you for a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they talk to you about how much they like agree or disagree with what
Yeah.
you've been doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And like apparently you can get to the point where they're just like, fuck you, I'm leaving.
Yeah, they just leave. But we're like,
They'll just like you can't recruit
yeah,
anymore.
I'm sorry.
It's a really cool idea. I like to, I like especially too when like you have dance and you'll like slice into a computer, or if you upgrade a weapon, dance always likes that. I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, I love how Dance always gets a boner when you get into your armor. He's
I know. He's like, now you're locked and loaded.
Yeah. he's like, yeah, let's go.
Fucking bloodluster,
Dude,
man.
he loves it when you get into his armor. Like, you can just get out and get back in every time. He'll like it every time.
What do you guys think of that change from power armor being equipable armor in Fallout 3 to it being almost like a vehicle? How do you feel about that? That change with the power, you need like the fusion cores to.
Love and hate with that.
Yeah,
love
me too.
and hate. It doesn't feel special.
That's because they give it to you right in the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the whole. You're not working for it.
Yeah.
I feel like you should have worked for it. And like in Fallout 3,
It's very
New
powerful.
Vegas, yeah, you're working for it. I want to go join the Brotherhood and get power armor. This one that gives you within at least literally within like an hour and a half of in the game, you're like getting into power armor.
And even if they didn't do that, you can meet Dance like 2 hours in, or an hour in.
Yeah,
And he can join the Brotherhood and like all that you get power
all
armor
the power
instantly.
Not only that too, but I feel like with me too, I found like one day in particular where I was playing, I found 3 sets of power armor, like 2 hours each from each other. Like you'll just be walking through the wasteland, and like I remember there was this one that was just in like a box car, just sitting there, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you can loot different pieces of the armor off of bandits.
You can make.
You can paint them and stuff, and like change the look
you
of
can
it.
change the material.
So I love that whole
the
customization.
Yeah,
you know,
again,
that's
the
so
meta game
important.
of it is so awesome. Crafting is so much easier now. I am so happy.
Crafting's fun.
So happy that they removed repairs from the game.
Oh yeah, you like that? Like using the other guns to repair it.
I didn't like that.
It's kind of got old.
You got old, and you're like carrying around useless copies of your gun. Like I'm like, it's so much
weight. Games, especially MMOs, are like big for that.
Yeah.
Like after you use your armor,
the same thing over.
Yeah, your armor and your weapons damaged. You're like, fuck, I have to I have to basically spend money to get all those back, and it's like you're just throwing money.
I'm a huge fan of that. I like that they did that.
They took that kind of management and put it into the crafting.
Yeah, into the crafting. Exactly.
And it's like it's a negotiation with yourself.
Yeah,
it's like I want to build my house
Yeah.
and use my steel and my screws there, my glue,
Yeah.
or do I want to put a long range barrel on my rifle or whatever? And so you kind of have to like manage all your resources.
Yeah. So that I think that's definitely an upgrade for me because the convenience of it. I feel like although they made the convenience of having like not repair weapons, I mean the UI for the inventory
garbage.
It's so archaic.
It's so old. It's that engine.
So
it's that engine.
I'm like
rearing
so
its ugly
clumsy.
head again.
Did you more than one time like say you're training something to your companion, press the take all button, and you take all and you're like, God dang it! And then you have to like go back and like each individual item.
For me, Y is to make them equip it.
Yeah.
X is take it all. And sometimes you just and you gotta like flick, go back and forth. Or even on the Pip-Boy, like the interface, like whenever I'm trying to, I always want to use a trigger to zoom in on the map for some reason.
Too.
And I fucking flip out
and you
of
go
it.
to the next section.
Yeah, fuck! And you gotta go back
restart,
and it's a mess. Like the interface is a complete. I want to be able to like when I pick up a gun.
Yeah.
And like let's say it's the same type of weapon, but like one is like already augmented, so it's a little better, and it'll show you. Like, I want to be able to show me the two on two like a Destiny Destiny.
Comparison?
Give me the comparison of each stat. I want to like break down so I can look up two things. I'm like, okay, is this armor better than mine? Instead of okay, 13. Was it 13 or 14? Oh, it's 14.
Yeah.
Like it's like I just want to look at them both.
How much rad resistance?
Yeah, rad resistance. Go back over there.
Yeah, it's like come on, guys.
Also, what about the dialogue? What do you guys think of the dialogue?
Oh, thank you. I was going to bring that up. So for me, because I'm such like my number one thing in any game is story. So I love it. I always said like if something's good in a game, steal it.
Yeah.
And Bethesda's like, good job, Mass Effect. Boom.
I was like, whoa, this is Mass Effect right here.
That's fine with me. And I like having a voice character. A lot of people don't.
Me too.
I love that.
It just makes it feel so much. My character is a person now.
Yeah.
You know?
You're not just like some like voiceless
blank slate.
Embodiment of just like walking around the desert, just like looking at things. But yeah, I totally dig it, and I like the voice acting, and
that sarcastic button is my bitch.
I maxed out my charisma, and just manipulate people. I am such a I extort people all the time. Like whenever
give me a bigger reward.
Yeah, you're like, I'll give you 100 caps if you do this. I'm like, no, that's not big enough. They're like, okay, 150. I'm like, go higher. They're like, fine, 200 caps. I'm like, that's good.
That reminds me a lot, like when I do that, it's just like in Witcher, when you do a Witcher contract, like a monster hunt, you can like, they have this whole mini game of like negotiating. You go too high and they get pissed off and you have to find like the middle ground. It's very similar to that. They get all offended. Like, how much money do you think I have?
What do you take me for?
But yeah, I enjoyed it, man. So far so good.
Love it.
Any like major complaints outside of technical?
Outside of technical stuff?
Yeah. Major complaints that you guys had? I haven't really, honestly, on the PC version, I haven't had any issues that I've
just the friendly AI getting stuck on everything.
Yeah, the AI, dude, they follow you so far away. Like,
they go and do their own shit.
Yeah, like if you're in the house for too long, if you guys notice, like they go sit down on the couch and have like a drink or something.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah, which is
like I went into this big mansion. That's like a side mission. Like this guy who like believes in aliens wants me to like find. I don't know if you guys have done this part yet.
Oh yeah, I have.
Aliens.
Yeah, he was like that guy. He's like, our civilization's been built by aliens
4,000 years ago.
He lives in this huge mansion, and I had Deacon with me.
Yeah.
So like I went through the conversation, and of course it doesn't freeze the game in your conversation.
Yeah.
And I got up, like, all right, let's go. And I looked around, like, where the hell?
Deacon.
And I went all the way down the hallway. There's a dining room, like all the way down. He was in there.
Yeah, no.
Like 100 yards away.
You're like, dude, what if I got assassinated? What would you do, man?
You know, and I'll like, we're getting combat and stuff, and realize I'm not getting any help, and turn around and like go all the way back, and he's like standing at the beginning of the dungeon, like,
he's like,
oh,
I'll let you finish. Soften them up. I'll come in.
Or they get in my way, like in doorways, and they're like, oh, am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Get the fuck out of my way!
That is the worst. I hate getting stuck.
So you go backwards, like trying to leash them. Like, come on, just move so I can get behind. Stuff like that. But I mean, as far as like the game, like aside from like the technical, all of the technical problems, I mean, I don't know. It's a much better shooter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You don't have to do VATS. I mix VATS.
It's almost more of a shooter now than it is an RPG to this point, because like although the perk tree is like there's a huge perk tree, but it's not very what you call it. It's not very
it's
consequential. Like it's not very like you can
easily unlock all of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very easy to do it. They're not really like, oh, you're gonna go down this quest tree or this talent tree. You're gonna get this, but
you can be jack of all trades.
Yeah,
like it doesn't hurt
you
to
do whatever you want. I'm like,
I agree.
But I mean, some people like that, some people don't. I'm not a huge fan. I like my stuff more of an RPG. Like
almost you get to. I like not having to pick a class before.
Yeah.
Like Skyrim.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be able to do everything. You know, you're going to start falling into
I feel like it almost like makes you like not want to play another round through. You know, because you're like, if I could do everything I want, why would I want to play a second?
Because the more I play, I'm just going to unlock the whole damn thing.
Exactly. So
I think they're banking on replayability, as in like what faction you pick, really.
Yeah,
and then like going through that storyline.
They're actually they're like leaning on the story more than they used to.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's so good so far. I mean, I'm enjoying the heck out of it, dude. You guys are always welcome to stop by my stream. I'm always playing it, and we're having a good old time doing inappropriate things to the guys.
We'll get you. I'll come back when I beat the story, and we'll do like a short. We'll give you a score.
Yeah, we'll give you a score.
I think it's safe to say at this point, since we've all played it, it's going to be one of our 5 Game of the Year nominations.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll definitely say that's a safe bet.
I'd say, well, since I finished the game, I don't know, should I score it or should we wait or?
Well, it's up to you. I mean, you can give your personal score, but like I
feel like I've already.
We always come up with a consensus, I think.
Oh, okay.
But you can give them like what you have so far.
Sure.
And then we'll have a discussion and see if we agree or if we want to.
So I finished the main story like I said yesterday. So I've just completed the main thing, and then I've played it for like 50 hours. So, and right now I guess it depends on the day you ask me, but. As far as the score goes, I'm usually hovering around like 8.5 to 9, honestly.
Yeah, and if I had to score it to myself, like I think about it all the time. Yeah. Because I now that we do this, whenever I play a game, I feel like I'm kind of putting on the reviewer's cap. I've started taking notes actually.
Okay, yeah.
Writing stuff down to bring up. So I've been like doing that. So I have at this point. So this is very able to change. But I was saying 8.5.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with you too at the same time because. The reason is Again, I've said this so many times before. There is no such thing as a perfect game for me.
No, even a 10 is not perfect.
Yeah, even
it's
a
not
10,
saying it's perfect.
Yeah, but the thing is, what this does above Halo, which we just recently gave a 7. Is that it executed better, like what it was trying to do. So I agree with the 8.5, barring anything like catastrophically like just pissing me off about it,
or opposite, or like a heavenly end of Mass Effect, not like Mass Effect 2, like the final battle in Mass Effect 2 is like the moment where I was like, holy shit, this is one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life. You know, like things like that, where that's where you get pushed into the 9s.
I
don't want to give it a 9 yet. Like I'm doing my best. I feel like a lot of publications, I won't name any publications, I feel like a lot of publications just give out 8 and 9. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, 8. And it doesn't mean as much anymore. When you just saturate all your, everything gets a 9 or an 8.5. So like, I feel like there are just enough things that are bothering me a little bit to not, like a 9 is like Nirvana, gaming Nirvana. And it's close at times. Like sometimes, there are times where I'll turn it off and I'm like, man, this game should be a 9. And there are other times where I'm like, this is a fucking 8.5. and then, you know, so I just kind of go back and forth. So we'll see. Hey all, kind of ended abruptly if you noticed. So we had some technical difficulties, being that Kevin didn't charge his damn camera for our really lengthy conversation to come to an end. So it died right there. To make up for that, here's a quick little reel of Chris and all of us just giving shit to Kevin and him getting upset about it. So it's pretty cool.
It was good.
It was good?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, cool. How did you even hear it?
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
I was listening to it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
How can you hear it when we...
Shut your mouth, okay? Say it's fucking good, alright? God damn!
Ball peen hammer.
Oh, nice.
Why is it peen?
I don't know.
I just like peen.
Ball peen.
Because I'm like 13. What does that mean? Like,
I don't know.
Like what?
I feel like I've heard that before, but I don't know what that is.
I've never heard that. I was like, ball peen him. Why not just hammer? Like, it's just like of like penor or something like weird.
Oh my god.
Bloopers.
Yeah.
Give me a beanie.
Those wacky, crazy bloopers. Fucking hate that song.
I know, me too, man.
Alright.
Ball peen.
That's a sick beanie.
Isn't that fucking amazing?
Yeah.
Half First Order, half New Republic.
That's
It's so cool.